Next, we're going to talk about the $1 billion budget deficit over in Chicago. But Kamala Harris has some commentary about Biden dropping out. Take a look.
Governor Walz, the country is just starting to get to know you. I want to ask you a question about how you've described your service in the National Guard. You said that you carried weapons in war, but you have never deployed actually in a war zone. A campaign official said that you misspoke. Did you?
Well, first of all, I'm incredibly proud. I've done 24 years of wearing the uniform of this country. Equally proud of my service in a public school classroom, whether it's Congress or the governor. My record speaks for itself, but I think people are coming to get to know me. I speak like they do. I speak candidly. I wear my emotions on my sleeves, and I speak especially passionately about our children being shot in schools and around guns. So I think people know me. They know who I am. They know where my heart is. And again, my record has been out there for over 40 years to speak for itself.
I'm sorry, sir. The question was, did you misspeak or did you actually carry weapons into war? We don't care about you being a school teacher. We don't care about whether or not you wore the uniform. I see a whole lot of people over there at Comic-Con. Some of them is dressed like Leonardo from the Ninja Turtles. Other ones are Master Splinter. I've seen a whole lot of Harley Quinns walking around when Comic-Con comes here. But guess what? The question is, did you kiss the Joker? Did you fight Master Splinter? And did you have an argument with Donatello? Were you talking to the Turtles? That's what we want to know. Were you in war or was you just in costume? Did you misspeak or was you really there? Come on, Tim, give us a little bit more clarification. Don't gaslight us. I see a whole lot of people wearing uniforms and costumes. Whole lot of people. I remember myself, right? For Halloween one year, I bought a hot dog costume. And for Halloween one year, I bought a hot dog costume. And I think that I was supposed to be the hot dog and somebody else was supposed to be the buns, but then somebody backed out on me. And so I think it was Rita. Rita backed out on me. She was supposed to be the buns. I was supposed to be the hot dog. And so I just went ahead and got the other hot dog costume with all of it and just got the mustard in the middle. And then during the pandemic, I wanted to walk around in my hot dog costume in order to create videos. But guess what? Well, maybe I am a hot dog. The point of the whole soliloquy that I'm having right now is answer the question. Did you misspeak and you said that you carried those guns in a war, or was it all cap? That's what we want to know, Tim. That's what we want to know, okay?
And the idea that you said that you were in war.
Yeah.
Did you misspeak, as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting, the ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
One other question, because
Wait. Did he answer the question? Because I got a little confused on what he said.
as the campaign has said?
Yeah, I said we were talking about, in this case, this was after a school shooting.
So you lied. Okay.
The ideas of carrying these weapons of war. And my wife, the English teacher, told me my grammar is not always correct. But again, if it's not this, it's an attack on my children for showing love for me, or it's an attack on my dog. I'm not going to do that. And the one thing I'll never do is I'll never demean another member's service in any way. I never have, and I never will.
One other question, because again, this is all new.
How does my service members feel about this? How does my service members feel about the fact that he just completely dodged that question and he didn't want to have no kind of smoke on that and he never answered the question? Why is he there?
This was not, however many days ago, this was not on either of your bingo cards, especially yours. You had to clarify that you had said that you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out.
Wait a minute. Put some hold up in it. Are you telling me that he been on all of these campaign rallies and stumps saying this IVF story, and that's not really what the case was?
Children. And then when you ran for Congress, and you and your wife used IVF, but it turned out you used a different kind of fertility in order to have children. And then when you ran for Congress in 2006, your campaign repeatedly made false statements about a 1995 arrest for drunk and reckless driving. What do you say to voters who aren't sure whether they can take you at your word?
Well, I've been very public. I think they can see my students come out, former folks I've served with, and they vouch for me. I certainly own my mistakes when I make them. The one thing I'll tell you is I wished in this country wouldn't have to do this. I spoke about our infertility issues because it's hell, and families know this. And I spoke about the treatments that were available to us that had those beautiful children there. That's quite a contrast in folks that are trying to take those rights away from us. And so I think people know who I am. They know that record. They've seen that. I've taught thousands of students. I've been out there. And I won't apologize for speaking passionately, whether it's guns in schools or protecting of reproductive rights. The contrast could not be clearer between what we're running against. The vice president's position on this has been clear. And I think most Americans get it if you've been through that. I don't think they're cutting hairs on IVF or IUI. I think what they're cutting hairs on is an abortion ban and the ability to be able to deny families the chance to have a beautiful child.
But wait, you keep saying IVF and fertility treatments, and that's the thing that you stomp on a regular basis. What he basically says and he stomps on, and at every single campaign rally and every single speech that he does, he always does this IVF fertility treatment speech.
In Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business. Look, that includes IVF, and this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
Okay, great speech. So you saying that story was cap? Okay, well, what about this story right here?
We also protected reproductive freedom because in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and the personal choices they make. And even if we wouldn't make those same choices for ourselves, we've got a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Same speech.
And that includes IVF and fertility treatments. And this is personal for Gwen and I. If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night for a phone call. The pit in your stomach when the phone had rang, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. Mm-hmm. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope.
Wow. Okay. Well, what about this time? Is this time make sense too?
I'm not crying, you're crying. So when we wanted to have children, we went through years of fertility treatment. And I remember it was like it was yesterday, just waiting for good news. And then the phone would ring and you would be tensed up, and then you would hear that the treatments had failed. It would blot out the sun that you just wanted something so beautiful and so simple to have a child. And then one day, and it wasn't by chance, when that news came and we welcomed our daughter into the world, We named her Hope.
Okay. Well, I think that's awesome. Fertility treatments, IVF, all of that. Tell us about it.
You know, some of us in here are old enough to remember. I see you down there. I see those old white guys. Some of us are old enough to remember when it was Republicans who were talking about freedom. It turns out now what they meant was the government should be free to invade your doctor's office. Choices that they make. Even if we wouldn't make the same choice for ourselves, there's a golden rule. Mind your own damn business.
Got it.
My heart chanting, mind your own damn business. And this gets personal for me and my family. When my wife and I decided to have children, we spent years going through infertility treatments. And I remember praying every night for a call for good news. The pit in my stomach when the phone rang, and the agony when we heard that the treatments hadn't worked. So it wasn't by chance that when we welcomed our daughter into the world, we named her Hope.
I'm starting to memorize the speech myself. I know the speech. Shout out to I'm sorry, Tim. I got a little bit distracted for the people. You know, we got a slang in Minnesota. Mind your own damn business. I'm working on my Tim Walz impression. You know, my wife and I, this IVF treatment and access to fertility, this is deep for me. Okay, this is deep for me, and shout out to Hope. Shout out to Hope. Let me give a round of applause for Hope. All right, Tim, go ahead. You go ahead and do your word salad.
Vice President Harris, you were a very staunch defender of President Biden's capacity to serve another 4 years. Right after the debate, you insisted that President Biden is extraordinarily strong. Given where we are now, do you have any regrets about what you told the American people?
No, not at all. Not at all. I have served with President Biden for almost 4 years now, and I'll tell you, it's one of the greatest honors of my career, truly. He cares so deeply about the American people. He is so smart and loyal to the American people. And I have spent hours upon hours with him, be it in the Oval Office or the Situation Room. He has the intelligence, the commitment, and the judgment and disposition that I think the American people rightly deserve in their president. By contrast, the former president has none of that. And so, one, I am so proud to have served as vice president to Joe Biden. And two, I am so proud to be running with Tim Walz for president of the United States and to bring America what I believe the American people deserve, which is a new way forward, and turn the page on the last decade of what I believe has been contrary to where the spirit of our country really lies.
But the last decade, of course, the last 3.5 years has been part of your administration.
I'm talking about an era that started about a decade ago, where there is some suggestion.
During the Obama administration?
Warped, I believe it to be. That
y'all do realize that Democrats have controlled the President of the United States and the White House over the last 12 of the last 16 years. 12 of the last 16 years has been all Democrats. And she's been a part of the last 3.5 of them. 4, basically. She's been a part of the last 4 years. And she's talking about turning the page on the era, but she would continue the Bidenomics that she's already been doing, including the war, the immigration policies, and everything else. Okay.
the measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you beat down, instead of where I believe most Americans are, which is to believe that the true measure of the strength of a leader is based on who you lift up. That's
what the fuck is it? Yo, maybe I'm just so ingrained in politics that I've heard these speeches. The true measure of a leader is not who you beat down, but the true measure of a leader is who you lift up. I'm so used to them saying this that I've heard it on every single speech and everything like that.
At stake as much as any other detail that we could discuss in this election.
Because we haven't had a chance to talk, I'm just curious, staying on President Biden, when he called you and said he was pulling out of the race, what was that like? And did he offer to endorse you right away, or did you ask for it?
It was a Sunday, so here, I'll give you a little too much information.
Go for it. There's no such thing, Madam Vice President.
My family was staying with us, and including my baby nieces, and we had just had pancakes and, Auntie, can I have more bacon? Yes, I'll make you more bacon. And then we were sitting down to do a puzzle.
Jesus Christ, this is so agonizing. Y'all believe this? No, I'm just asking. I'm just taking a poll. Believable or not believable? So, middle of a campaign, Biden supposedly got COVID. Everything is in shambles. Everybody running around. Trump is doing interviews, laughing at y'all. You on the campaign trail. Remember, at this time, they supposedly was negotiating for hostages over in Russia because they had to bring Paul Whelan home. So they was making sure that they was getting that popping off too. So that was all being negotiated. But you were sitting on a day. Sun's outside. Nieces is visiting. Hey, Auntie, can I have some more bacon and pancakes? Yeah. Hey, guys, we're going to sit down and do a puzzle next. Yay! The most important election of your life, and you saying that you and Doug was sitting there making pancakes and bacon and about to do a puzzle. Y'all, listen. You're not going to finesse me. Why is she looking at Tim and smiling? What are you talking about? Jesus Christ. We're about to do a puzzle. Where'd you get the puzzle from? What kind of puzzle was it? Was it a Latin? Little Mermaid?
And the phone.
Look at him. Looking like it's a good story.
Joe Biden. And he told me what he had decided to do. And I asked him, "Are you sure?" And he said yes. And that's how I learned about it.
And what about the endorsement? Did you ask for it?
He was very clear that he was going to support me.
So when he called to tell you, he said, I'm pulling out of the race and I'm going to support you.
Well, my first thought was not about me, to be honest with you. My first thought was about him, to be honest.
Who all is going for this crock of nonsense? Honestly, Kay, are you going for it? I see you, Kay. Kay, you don't believe it? TM, you don't believe it? Joe can't even use a phone? You don't believe any of this story? Come on, man. Who believe this? Who in the world? Where in the hell is Carmen Sandiego? Who in the world? All 5,000 plus of y'all that is watching this on YouTube, I'm just curious. I'm genuinely curious. Who believes this? Who? Not one person, not a soul, believed that you was cooking pancakes and bacon, that you probably even know how to cook pancakes from scratch, and that Joe Biden just gave you the phone call on a secure line at your home. Hey, kiddo, I'm pulling out. I don't think I can take it anymore. You're up next. You're up next, kiddo. It's all on you. It's on you to carry the burden of what has been unburdened and what is done, to bring the people up, because the leadership of Donald Trump is going to take this country out. Make sure you call. I'm going to call Obama next and Michelle and see if they can get them on the phone. Maybe I'll call Nancy too.
I think history is going to show a number of things about Joe Biden's presidency. I think history is going to show that in so many ways it was transformative, be it on what we have accomplished around finally investing in America's infrastructure, investing in new economies, in new industries, what we have done to bring our allies back together and have confidence in who we are as America and grow that alliance, what we have done to stand true to our principles, including the one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I think history is going to show not only has Joe Biden led an administration that has achieved those extraordinary successes, but the character of the man is one that he has been in his life and career, including as a president, quite selfless and puts the American people first.
I just have to ask you both about two standout moments, aside, of course, from
This is making me mad. I'm getting a bad attitude. My spirit is bothered right now.
the addresses that you both gave, but standout moments that were perhaps unexpected during the convention. You mentioned one of them, Governor. A moment that you shared, that the world shared with your son, Gus. You were speaking, the camera caught him, so incredibly proud of you, so emotional, saying, "That's my dad."
Yeah, I don't know as a father I could have ever imagined that. I'm grateful for so many reasons to be on this ticket, but that moment, to understand what was really important, to have my son feel a sense of pride in me, that I was trying to do the right thing. And it was, you try and protect your kids, it brings notoriety and things, but it was just such a visceral, emotional moment that I'm grateful I got to experience it, and I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of him. I'm proud of Hope. I'm proud of Gwen. She's a wonderful mother, and these are great kids. And I think the one thing is talking about the era we're in is our politics can be better. It can be different. We can show some of these things, and we can have families involved in this. And I hope that there was I hope people felt that out there, and I hope they hug their kids a little tighter, because you just never know, and life can be kind of hard.
And last question, Madam Vice President, the photograph that has gone viral. You were speaking, one of your grandnieces that you were just talking
Yes.
about was watching you accept the nomination. You didn't explicitly talk about gender or race in your speech, but it obviously means a lot to a lot of people, and that viral picture really says it. What does it mean to you?
I am running because I believe that I am the best person to do this job at this moment, for all Americans, regardless of race and gender. But I did see that photograph, and I was deeply touched by it. And you're right, it's the back of her head, her two little braids, and then I'm in the front of the photograph, obviously speaking. And it's very humbling. It's very humbling.
This makes me want to throw up in my mouth. Makes me want to throw up. Makes me want to throw up in my mouth.